Hello, and thank you for joining us for the Pharmacy Cannabis Lecture Series. Each session is designed to deliver a small and in-depth dose of cannabis education. I'm Candace Hawes. I want to thank all of our viewers, as well as our customers from the Pottery, the Pharmacy Santa Ana, Santa Barbara, and Berkeley for joining us today. In this session, we're going to discuss the endocannabinoid system of the skin. Cannabis-infused lotions, balms, salves, oils, sprays, and other transdermal methods of relief work by binding to cannabinoid receptors. These receptors are found throughout the body, including the skin, and are activated either by our body's own naturally occurring endocannabinoids or by cannabis compounds known as cannabinoids. Our guest speaker today is a friend and colleague of mine, Alisha Diaz. Before working in the cannabis space, Alisha worked as a hairdresser for over 20 years and as a home care aide for seniors. After leaving that field, she poured herself into cannabis education and completed several online certificates, including Healer, Green Flower, Leaf 411, and the Institute for Natural Resources on Marijuana and Cannabinoids. She began her career in cannabis at Cannabis Works as a senior outreach specialist and is currently a brand ambassador and educator for Liquid Flower. In 2020, she also created an online club called the Silver Cannabis Club, where members get a monthly newsletter highlighting articles, products, referrals, events, and discounts. Currently, Alisha volunteers on the board of Orange County NORML, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, and in January, she's going to start serving on the executive board as the deputy director. I'm very excited to have Alisha with us today to discuss the endocannabinoid system and how products applied to your skin work with this system. Thank you so much for being with us today, Alisha.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for having me, Candace. I want to just thank you so much for providing this platform for people and the pharmacy having this lecture series. It's really amazing. It's such a resource that I can offer my clients. And so thank you for having this platform.
Yeah, definitely. I love doing this. It's one of my favorite parts of the job. And I'm so excited to have you here with us and to talk about this topic, which we've really never gotten into in this webinar series before, which is topicals and how they work with the endocannabinoid system.
Yeah,
so thank you for being here. And please start.
I'm really excited to get into it. So we are going to be doing a poll today. And so first, there's the first poll question that is, are you currently using cannabis topicals? So if you can just do A or B, A, yes, B, no. Feel free to fill that out and I can kind of see where people are at with that. So since the passage of Prop 215 legalizing marijuana, so much has changed. For me, the anecdotal evidence is in that more and more people are using it and finding positive results. A lot of people are using it to replace alcohol, have mood improvement, better sleep, pain relief, healing. And I think overall the stigma has changed quite a bit just in the last few years. I think the fact that our industry was deemed essential during the pandemic put a different light on things, and more people just started using it, and they found out that they really liked it and enjoyed it. For a lot of people that I help, it changed their life, and they found that it really gave them a life back. And in that process, I always start, the first thing I recommend is getting them on a topical. So did we get for the poll? We have 15% of people. So sorry, 71% of people using topicals. So it's 15 people voted, and then 29% are not. So that's good. When I hear in dispensaries, I kind of ask people, are you using a topical? And a lot of people say no. So I'm always kind of surprised. So I'm glad to hear that there's a good amount of people using topicals. So before I get into talking about cannabis as a topical, I would like to just explain a little bit about me and who I am, as where I'm coming from. Candace did mention a little bit about what I've kind of gone through, but I just want you guys to know who's coming at you. So number one, I'm not a doctor or a scientist. I'm a mom, and I'm a wife, a daughter, a dog mom, but I'm also someone who has dwindled down the many prescriptions and over-the-counter medications that I've been on to treat arthritis, insomnia, migraines, anxiety, and depression, all with better results and using less and less pills. And so to me, it was a game changer. And after retiring from being a hairstylist, I went into another passion of mine, senior home care. And then the cannabis industry offered me a job to be a senior outreach coordinator. And so that's what I've done for the past few years. I made it my job to care about what older adults need in order to have safe and convenient access to cannabis and how to use cannabis as medicine. And the best way for me to do that is with education and educating people on the what modern cannabis has to offer people. So I'm constantly learning what cannabis has to offer, and in turn trying to provide those educational opportunities and guidance for people to know how they can use cannabis. And the first thing I like people to know is how that, well, number one, that you have an endocannabinoid system, and introducing cannabis as a topical to start treating them. So let's get into it. Here we have an example of where the endocannabinoid system is in your body. Let's do a quick poll and ask how many of you have heard about the endocannabinoid system. So go ahead and click on that. While you're doing that, I am going to talk about what the endocannabinoid system is, and I'll also be referring to it as the ECS to simplify the words coming out of my mouth, especially because it is complex. It's a complex network of receptors, signaling molecules, and a metabolic enzyme that regulate metabolic pathways. These functions all contribute to creating stability in your internal environment. So to simplify that, or to give an example, if you have a pain from an injury, your body is not in balance. It's not in homeostasis. So your ECS is there to help your body return balance to its ideal operating function. So in this molecular communication system, the receptors that we're looking at here are the CB1 and CB2 receptors. And you can find them all over the body, in the brain, organs, connective tissues, glands, immune cells. And in each tissue, the ECS is performing different tasks, but the goal is always the same, is to reach homeostasis. And researchers are saying that the ECS could be the most important physiological system involved in establishing and maintaining human health, and have linked the ECS to many processes. For example, appetite and digestion, metabolism, chronic pain, inflammation, and other immune system responses, mood, sleep, and nerve function. So let me just, the little poll is up here, Candace. So, okay, got it. So yay, everyone has heard about the endocannabinoid system. I mean, that's helpful, because it's just such a nice base to have. And then I always feel like every time you hear about it, you learn a little more, you have a deeper understanding about it. I still am really trying to wrap my head around it. So I'm so glad people have already heard about it. So now that we've talked about the CB1 and CB2 receptors, let's talk about endocannabinoids. So endocannabinoids are the signaling molecules. They naturally occur in your body. And the main ones that people know about or are being researched are 2-AG and anandamide. So what's happening when your body is trying to regulate that communication system, you can see the little triangles are your body's natural endocannabinoids, and they are attaching to the CB1 and CB2 receptors. So those neurotransmitters that are coming down from are being regulated, that not too much communication is happening, or regulating the communication that's happening. But what happens is sometimes your body is not producing enough endocannabinoid system, or endocannabinoids, and they're having trouble reaching homeostasis. So what happens is the cannabis plant has phytocannabinoids that can be introduced. And you can see that's the little green circular little key that would fit into the CB1 and CB2 receptors. And those would be involved to help regulate the system. So let's go to our next slide, which talks about phytocannabinoids. So the phytocannabinoids we're going to look at today are THCA, CBDA, THC, and CBD. So when you have a cannabis plant, the phytocannabinoids that are on that plant are in its acidic form. So THCA stands for acidic, and CBDA. And then when you add heat to it, where you're either burning it, there's combustion, or it's being heated in like an oven, it translates or transfers into CBD and THC. And all four of those have different therapeutic effects that can bring to your body. So the acidic cannabinoids believed to have their own therapeutic effects, and that when using them all together, you can get even better results, which most people know as the entourage effect. So now that we have a basic understanding of the ECS and how endocannabinoids and phytocannabinoids work with that, I'm just going to do a little poll, a little quiz, true or false. The endocannabinoids are naturally occurring cannabinoids in the body. So we have true or
Who's paying attention, huh?
Who's paying attention? Little
Your
interaction.
prize is knowledge. All right, the responses are coming in.
They're coming in. All right, true. Everyone's smart. Everyone is smart. Yes, the endocannabinoids are the ones that are naturally occurring in the body. Easy. Okay, so let's talk about the largest organ that has all those receptors and endocannabinoids around it, which is our skin. Our skin is a complex protective barrier for the body. It's composed of 3 layers. On your left, you can see there's the epidermis, and the epidermis is made up of constantly renewing skin cells that shield the body from sunburn, irritating substances, biting and stinging creatures, punctures, cuts, and abrasions. And that all of those things then can create an imbalance in that protective barrier. And then below the epidermis is the dermis. This has a complex collection of nerves and capillaries. Most of the body's sensory cells are there that feel heat and cold, vibration, and pain. And then it's also where collagen and elastin are made. So those are the substances that support the epidermal layer. And so then there's the deepest layer, which is known as the hypodermis. It attaches to the skin to the rest of the body. So in all of these different layers, they are all of those are regulated by the endocannabinoid system. A recent report from Denmark noted that the disruption in the delicate balance of cannabinoid signaling might facilitate the development of multiple conditions and diseases of the skin, such as atopic dermatitis, acne, psoriasis, itch, pain, hair growth disorders, systemic sclerosis, and cancer. So if you can kind of see how the skin really has so many things that can regulate pain and disruption within the skin, that you can really treat the skin as well as the inside systemically. So first we'll talk about cannabis topicals. So that this is the way we can introduce your skin to phytocannabinoids and help your skin reach homeostasis. I mentioned that over the years, it's the first thing I offer people is let's get on topicals. And just like the healthcare system, topicals come in creams and rubs and salves, sprays, and patches. But instead of having aspirin for pain relief or NSAIDs for inflammation, they use THC and CBD and other phytocannabinoids and other therapeutic benefits from the plant that, when absorbed in the skin, may help with that pain and inflammation, particularly in joints close to the skin. You can have those therapeutic benefits. So one of the reasons I recommend a topical is you can medicate with cannabis without feeling high. It doesn't get, we're talking about a topical that doesn't get into the bloodstream. So you can also not worry about having systemic drug interactions. So then I also recommend a topical for people that are at their limit dose for systemic treatment and are looking for more relief. So topicals can be added to relief without interacting with the internal treatment. So after adding a topical, you can enhance the well-being versus going, oh, I'm using something systemically, I'm not reaching those results, I can't add any more systemically. Mm-hmm. You can add the topical without it interfering and just having that added benefit. So I always say approach the issue from the inside and the outside.
Yeah.
And or if you're not comfortable with using it on the inside, just use it on the outside, and we don't have to worry about it. So that's why using a topical first, it's just a great way to start that healing process without worrying about the interactions, and then you can in turn continue to use it for added relief. So here we have a little issue with how to pick a topical. I think that we have another poll.
Okay.
And it's a yes or no. How many people have said I used a topical and it did nothing for me? And so that's something I come across a lot when I'm working with people. Is I mention a topical and either they say they haven't used one, or I tried one and it didn't work for me. So and that is an issue. I feel like so many people, the market is saturated with topicals.
Yeah.
And not just in dispensaries, they're not so saturated, but outside of dispensaries, it's saturated. There's just so many people saying, I got a topical here, I got a topical there. And with buying topicals outside of the dispensary, you kind of come into different issues. So you're not getting the same results you would get if you used a topical sold in a legal dispensary. And I think that leads, so our people have said, yes, they have said that 31% of people said that they have tried a topical and it did nothing for me, which is understandable. So that's why I like to go over all the ways that you can narrow down to pick the right topical for you and find one that can actually work or hopefully work for you. So the first would be that it's sold in a legal dispensary. And then the next poll I have is true or false. Hemp is defined under federal law as cannabis plant having lower than 0.3% THC. And layer. So industrial hemp is something that's out there that people can buy outside of the dispensary. Mm-hmm. It really just qualifies it as 0.3%, which it could be a hemp plant that just naturally has a low occurring amount of THC in it, but also you have to use more plant mass, and it's usually a more fibrous plant that's used for paper or rope or fuel. And it might not have the same therapeutic benefits of the flowering cannabis plant that has other things like terpenes, flavonoids, other cannabinoids in the spectrum, and more than just CBD. Excuse me. So those would be the hemp plants that could be sold outside of a dispensary. And so in the dispensary, you're going to get the whole cannabis plant, and that's going to have a whole host of therapeutic benefits. So you're going to see more therapeutic opportunities in a product that's sold in a dispensary and that uses whole cannabis plant. Also, one that has all natural and organic ingredients. I think it's important. I think that your skin is kind of like a mouth that's eating, it consumes as well. And so you want to make sure you're putting organic and all natural ingredients on it, something that your body recognizes and can use. So everybody knew on that poll, just that everyone knew that was the definition. And the reason I bring it up, and I'll bring it up later, is because the cannabis industry has found a loophole to breed a cannabis plant to be below 0.3% THC and actually use that plant versus a hemp plant. So it's an interesting part to consider when you're picking out a topical. The other one is get your money's worth. I think it's, if you look at a couple things like how many milligrams are in the topical and then divide it by the amount you're paying, you can kind of find out how much you're paying per cannabinoid. So that is the therapeutic benefit that you're really paying for. So just make sure you're getting a good amount of cannabinoids for what you're paying for. Also, just the amount of the product. The containers can be a little confusing. So really look 0.5 ounces to 2 ounces. So that, they can almost look the same. So really look to see how much amount of the product you're getting. Another way I recommend people to pick a topical is the scent. Ask what scents are in it. People just can be really particular about how they're smelling. So I think it's something important to know that if to help you decide. Another thing that I think is important to look at is if they have counter irritants in it. So counter irritants are included in topicals that counteract the underlying pain or discomfort by creating an irritation on the skin. Examples are capsaicin, menthol, menthol salicylate, and camphor are examples of counter irritants. So those are the ones that create a heat or a cold therapy, and it kind of relieves the pain by adding a counter stimulant. Those can be great. I have some that I like, but you do want to know if it's on there. You do want to know if you're going to have that Bengay feeling. It can also decide, make sure you wash your hands after, that you don't want to touch your eyes if you have a counter irritant on them. And it could really determine where you use it and how you use it. So, and then know whether that's something you want or not. So those are all my pointers for how to use make a topical. But the other thing that I want to talk about is a transdermal topical versus a topical. So the next poll question is, can topicals get me high? So you can answer yes or no there. Do it later. So it is a little tricky because as you can see in this slide, there's the transdermal, the topical, which would just be sitting on that first epidermis layer. That would be considered a topical. But then we have products that are considered transdermal because they go past that epidermis layer into the dermis, which could help with all of those things that we're talking about, the sensory nerves being in there. And that would be considered transdermal, but it's not crossing that blood barrier and getting into your blood to do a systemic into your blood circulation. There are some transdermal products out in the market that actually cross that blood barrier and get into your blood system and create that high feeling. So can cannabis topicals get me high? They can, and they can't. So it is confusing. And that's the reason it's a trick question. So you really do want to ask the person, is this meant to get into my bloodstream to create a high feeling? Most products aren't. Most products that even say transdermal are just to get past that epidermis layer into the dermis, but not get past there. But there are some. So it is important to ask that question and find find out if it's going to be something that's going to get you high.
Mm-hmm.
So you all are smart and knew, yes, they can, and no, they can't. So you guys are a whole bunch of smarties out there. You guys do a great job in your education. So I'm going to talk about particular topical product, which is liquid flower, because I am the brand ambassador and educator for liquid flower. It's also just one of the topicals that fits all those criteria for me when I'm referring a topical. So I recommend it to so many clients. So I asked if I could work for them. So it would be a win-win. And, they said yes. And I love using it to educate people. It's also one of the lowest costs per cannabinoids on the market. They don't have counter irritants in them. And so they're designed to be multiple use on your face and your body. And it really does try to eliminate the need for multiple products, so which can then in turn save you money. And let's see, they use our organic ingredients and they are as close to the natural state as possible. And what I found with topicals, it just to kind of recap, is that when you're using topicals and you start feeling less pain, you start feeling the need to take more pain medicine. And then the more less pain medicine and sleep aids you're taking, the better you feel. And then you don't need to take more medicine. So it just is kind of this rotating system of feeling better, less pills, less pills, feeling better, and it can all start with just introduce it and her family. And this the scent profile on this is vanilla, lavender, and sandalwood. So it has a real like indulgent, comforting smell and experience, calming. It also uses CBDA and THCA, which not many products use on the market. So they have those extra acidic cannabinoids that they use. They use whole cannabis plant that's heated low and slow. So it gets those acidic cannabinoids before they turn into the THC and CBD, but you do get some of those that transfer over. And then this original is a THC and THCA rich product. Actually, the milligrams are tiny, but there's 180 milligrams of THCA and THC in there with just a little bit of CBDA and CBD in it. Our next is CBD relief and repair. So this is the same as the original. And except for instead of using a THC rich plant, they use a CBD and CBDA rich plant. And so you can see there's 300 milligrams of CBDA. And for both of these products, I use them daily for my skincare. I use them on my face. I use them as skin. I use it regularly for bug bites, mosquito bites, burns, wrinkles, dry skin, UV protection, achy joints, and post-workout soreness. I just tend to use the THC original when it's more for a pain relief that's not due to inflammation. And then if I'm dealing with a pain from CBD, from inflammation, such as eczema or arthritis, I'm going to go more towards the CBD pain relief. And so those two products are out there, and some people just prefer a CBD product over a THC product, or one works better than the other for somebody. But that's how I try to explain to people the difference and which one I would pick over the other. Our next product is Deep Relief. The name really says it all. When you need that deep relief pain, relief from pain, this is the product you're going to go to. I use it personally for migraines and it's non-comedogenic, so I can use it on my skin. And like I said, there's not counter irritants. I put it all very close to my eyes and around my jaw when I'm experiencing migraine. Menstrual cramps, severe body pains. I just threw out my back the other day when I was washing my dog, and so I was liquid floury, like all you know, and the healing process, and I just was faster, and I was able to move easier with using it. So that's how I use it. But I also recommend it for a lot of people that suffer with neuropathic pain. So having nerve pain seems to be something that topicals really struggle with helping. But with deep relief, I have seen people that deal with the neuropathic pain in their feet, in their hands, say this worked when others didn't. You know, it could be because of all the wonderful ingredients in it, but it also has that THCA, and it has double the amount of cannabinoids in it, and that's the part that really helps. And it's also very small on there, is that it's 400 milligrams of THC and THC. So also the scent profile is a little different. It has cocoa butter in it and clove, so that it kind of has a chocolatey smell with a little spice bit to it. There's frankincense and myrrh in it, and so there's a lot of the warming kind of a feel with the deep relief that can help with some pain relief. And then the last product I'm going to talk about is our deep relief stick, which is excellent for people who want to try it. It's 0.5 ounces. So it's a little more, it's a lower price point to try. And then it's just very, very convenient to use. I've also had people that said it was, especially with their neuropathic pain, that it was painful to even touch their skin to put on the liquid flower, but they could use the stick to glide it on, and it was less painful to even have the stick go on. So that's an option for people. It does have a calendula wax in it versus a beeswax to make it thicker, which is vegan. So all of our products are vegan, and it has some arrowroot powder in it to create that little thickness, so you can carry it around with you, and just have it a little easier accessible. It's also one of our top sellers, and people just love it. I'm going to go over some of the nerve pain, psoriasis, eczema, arthritic psoriasis, anti-aging, sun protection, rich hydration, antifungal, fibromyalgia, MS pain, pain relief, poison ivy, bug bites, shingles. So I just kind of grabbed a couple of them, but I feel like, before people would say, how is it that this product can help with so many things? And so that's why I think it's important to understand the endocannabinoid system and that it's in your skin. So now that you understand that you have this system in your skin regulating all of these things, and when it's not doing well, that you can add cannabinoids to that system. And then you go, oh yes, of course I can see how it can help with all of these things, because it's all of these things are when your skin is out of balance.
Yep.
So that's one of the benefits to using a topical, is that it's able to relieve so many things.
And I like the fact too that you said that you're not going to have drug interactions because you're using a different method of delivery, and it's just a way to add extra amounts of THC or CBD into your system. If you don't want to consume more cannabis products, that might have like a mind altering effect.
Right. Exactly. And then just to mention that liquid flower does have a hemp line, that we do use a cannabis plant that's below 0.3%.
The first time I remember I tried liquid flower.
Are you there? Okay. Did you want to go? I can't tell.
That's perfect, because that was one of the questions. Someone wanted to know how they can buy it in Canada. So can someone in Canada order liquid flower and have it shipped across the border?
Yes, you can.
Perfect.
So yeah, it's a CBD rich cannabis plant that they use, and yeah, you can ship it anywhere in the United States. I believe Canada, but you can definitely purchase it and mail it because it's hemp, and so you don't have to worry about it being illegal. So, which is really nice, because I do come across that, and it's really difficult when I get someone that's out of state and saying, well, what can I do? And so it's nice to say we also have this hemp version. So it doesn't have its THC and THCA in it, but it does have all of the other wonderful ingredients in it that are therapeutic, that liquid flower has to offer. So the next thing I want to talk about is that, like, the way I share my information and education. And that is through the Silver Cannabis Club. I created this during the pandemic because I just couldn't reach seniors. They were quarantined. So I started doing this, and it's been really wonderful, and I've loved having it. So I say who belongs in the Silver Cannabis Club is anyone who wants to continue learning about what cannabis can offer you, having safe and convenient access and reliable information. The way I do that is a monthly newsletter. In the newsletter, I have resources. I also provide free lectures to communities and clubs. I like to, in the newsletter, I talk about events that are happening to continue education or just being involved. I also always try to see if I can get discounts or communicate discounts. I know that people over 55, some people are on fixed incomes and they're used to their medication or healing coming, through insurance. So starting to pay for it's a little tricky. So I'm always trying to find an angle for a discount. So that's all that I like to provide within the Silver Cannabis Club. So if anybody wants to join, you can go to silvercannabisclub.com. You can email me at silvercannabisclub@gmail.com. You can call me. There's my number there. And then also you can go to liquidflower.com if you're interested in learning more. Also, if you want to learn more about liquid flower, I would be happy to come and speak to your group about liquid flower and get into the more details of how to use it and the ingredients that are in it. I have a list of services on my website too. If you are interested in what I have to offer, I do consultations. I would love to talk more about what modern cannabis has to offer seniors or older adults. I'm not limited to topicals. So that I like all forms. Topicals is the first thing I introduce, and then we can build on that. So, and then also, would you like to sign up for the Silver Cannabis Club newsletter? If you'd like, how does it work, Candace? Could they just hit?
So I already launched the poll. So if people want to join, they can just respond to the poll and they can type in their email, and I'm actually writing them down for you. So we've had a couple people who have already said that they want to join.
Exactly. So, and I'll sign you up so you don't have to worry about it. And then you'll just start getting a monthly newsletter. And then just to reiterate that the pharmacy has liquid flower on sale for 20% off through Friday, December 17th. So I think that
we have a couple questions if you have a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So the first one was how you go about buying liquid flower outside of California, which you answered that. You can go online and you can order it. And somebody else is asking, what are the determining factors for transdermal topicals to enter circulation? So that would be the medium, right, that they are in. Like usually.
Can you repeat the question?
what are some of the determining factors for the transdermal topicals to enter the circulation? Like you were saying,
Enter into the blood. So
Mhm.
there's a carrier agent usually that it like attaches to the cannabinoid that slips it through. It's like having the name of the bouncer and being like, and it gets through that. But different products have different ingredients that they use, but it's called a carrier agent. So that's what you would look for. Is does it have a carrier agent that brings the cannabinoids molecule into the blood system?
In some companies, they might use like alcohol, right?
Possibly. Okay. I know Mary's has. I used to know the name of what it was. I can't think of it right now.
Yeah.
But oleic acid, I think, is one that is a carrier agent.
Yeah, so always be careful, like you said, if somebody's wanting to use topicals because they get drug tested, and this is one way that you can use cannabis and you don't get the high, you don't get enough in your blood system. But if you're using a topical that is a transdermal, you may be able to get those higher levels into your system and you might test dirty. So it's very important that people, make sure that they're getting what they want and what they don't want.
That's a really, really good point, Candace. And I sometimes even the cannabinoids that can get into the dermis, I mean, it is possible that somehow it gets into the bloodstream eventually, but it's not meant to like get in and have that systemic relief, but it could show up on a test. So if you work for for the federal government, I say use at your own risk or don't use at all, because there's just not enough information out there to guarantee that it wouldn't test, unless it was just a topical and just CBD only. But other than that, it's known not that it doesn't come back as a positive result. But if your job's on the line, I can't guarantee it.
Yeah. I've also known some seniors too who are very sensitive to any medications and products and just like foods in general. I've had some say that with like an oil or water based topical, which typically shouldn't, be psychoactive because it can't really penetrate through the skin. I've heard some people that have reported like slight euphoria as well. So everybody is different, so it's always good if you're using it for the first time to always be like in the right setting, with any kind of product, even though typically most people don't get any kind of psychoactive effect.
Yeah. I mean, it's not meant to. So if you do, it's an anomaly, but that's not the purpose of most topicals unless it specifically states it's transdermal for systemic relief. But yeah, definitely. When you sign up or I sign you up for the newsletter, I do send out some PDFs that talk about how to be prepared when you first use cannabis, and then also what happens if you accidentally use more than you were intending. And it's a little guide for that. So something that I think everyone should definitely be mindful of.
Very good. We have two other questions. Someone was asking us about what other types of carrier agents like MCT oil, that would be like more a carrier agent in a sublingual drop. There are some sublinguals that have MCT oil and liquid flower, not at our dispensaries, but at some other dispensaries. You guys actually have a sublingual as well, correct?
We do. Yeah, we do. And we haven't brought it in yet, but it is an excellent sublingual. It uses, it has raw honey in it and then a glycerin. So instead of being oil that can kind of inhibit the cannabinoid from getting into your bloodstream through the mucous membranes under your tongue, it's glycerin, which is like an alcohol. So it has much more bioavailability and a faster onset. So it is an excellent product that I do love. And like I said, I'm not just a topical person. I definitely recommend every part of the cannabis plant. So I definitely know about all of those other ways of treating your body with cannabis.
Yeah. I love cannabis in every form. I love the skin creams. I love the topicals. I love the bath bombs. I love the drinks. I love the pre-rolls. I love the flower. I love the edibles. I love every different part. And I feel like every different form is completely different. You get a different effect, different duration, different use. And so it's nice once you've gotten experience all these different forms, you know, based on the type of day or the type of need you're having, you can like pick one that's going to suit you best, or you can also layer them. I have a good friend with a very high pain condition, neurofibromatosis and chronic regional pain syndrome. And a lot of times she needs to do the sublinguals, like treating interior, you know, inside. And then also she needs like a topical on the outside because just one or the other doesn't work. So,
right. Yeah. And that's one thing with using topicals. It's just the beginning, like you just start to understand how it works. And then, you understand, like, just because I also use cannabis in different forms doesn't take away the fact that I still use topicals.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I use it all.
Yeah. Me too. So this is the last question. And I don't know if you know this answer or not, or maybe you've read it in your research, but somebody's saying as cannabis stays in the body because it's holding on to it for medical storage, you know how it stays in our system for like 30 to 6 months. I've seen it take forever to get out of people's systems. Have you read anything about the skin holding on to cannabinoids as well? Is there any research in that area that you've come across?
I haven't.
Good question, though. I've never had that question asked me before.
Right.
So.
I mean, it is a good question. I think there's things to consider as far as, you know, how much stays topically on the epidermis and you wash it. There's that aspect of it. But then I also know that, like, if it gets down, you know, that it's a fat loving molecule. So the fat in your skin, it could attach to it, and how long that stays, I don't know.
Yeah, we need more research, just like so many things in cannabis. One day I feel like we'll have that answer, you know, and then we'll be able to have topicals that we can prescribe. Like, you only need to take it this many times because we've done research and we could show that it stays in your skin for this period of time. But right now, you know, it's just all, you know, experimentation. Everybody's different. So one person able to use topicals one time and it lasts all day. Some people maybe need to reapply it.
I didn't. My mom, I mean, you know, so that's where I get anecdotal evidence from my clients and my family and myself. And my mom did use a topical for arthritis in her knee, and then she felt like she didn't need to have the pain come back for months. So, you know, it just kind of can depend on the person. And you know, that's the great thing with cannabis is it's really is a you are your own. You're in charge. So if you feel like you don't need it, you don't use it. If you feel like you need it, use it. So that's what I tell people. If you feel pain and you feel like you need healing, use it. And if you don't, and use it as, especially with a topical, you can kind of use it as often as you need to. If you feel pain, you can use more without having to feel, I'm going to get too intoxicated.
Yeah, that's a good point. So I have another person. We have a lot of people watching this webinar from outside the United States and from different states. Do you know if you guys are planning to actually open in any other states? Someone's asking in Maryland, and they're wondering if you guys have plans to get a license in any other states.
That is would be wonderful. I have to tell you, Liquid Flower is a family-owned business. It's Claire and her husband. Claire is her husband is a veteran, and it's a small operation. They're a legacy company, which means they were around before Prop 64. And so they've been around really treating people with cannabis medicinally. So we're not at that stage. We're not one of those huge, like a Papa and Barkley big company. So, which is, you know, another benefit for me, because I do like supporting family-owned businesses and veteran-owned, women-owned. So we are not there at the point, but you know, we can keep growing and possibly someday. But buying it as our hemp product, you can have it shipped there. So until then, come visit California.
Yeah. And I mean, if you have a company in Maryland, a license, maybe, you know, contact the website and maybe you could do some sort of, you know, opening a branch in a different state or something. Cause I also do believe in this product a lot. I love, like you said, that they're a legacy company. They were doing this before all the big businesses came in. You know, it's really about the patients and about a good quality product. I think like the name kind of says it all. You know, it's the flower in a jar. You know, if you could rub the flower on yourself and like, get relief, but you don't. You need a medium, and that's what they've kind of done for you. So yeah, I love this product. And again, I have more people asking how to get it like in other countries. You can look into your own local rules to see if you're allowed to ship, if you're allowed to receive hemp products. And then you can buy the hemp products off your website as well, right?
Yes. Yeah. Go to liquidflower.com and it will tell you, say shop. And then you just click that and they'll be able to send it to you.
Awesome. Well, I've had such a good time with you today, Alisha. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Candace.
Yeah, this is wonderful. And I hope all of you guys enjoyed this as well. And that some of the information that we presented to you guys will help you become better informed cannabis consumers, and that the information will help you find relief. Until next time, stay safe and stay well. Thank you, everybody.